is recognized for 5 minutes. Ms. Pressley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On December 19th, 2020, Donald Trump tweeted, "Big protest in DC on January 6th. Be there, will be wild." This was 5 days after the Electoral College certification. And indeed, it was very wild. There were people brandishing Trump flags, Confederate flags, wearing T-shirts that said Camp Auschwitz, referring to United States Capitol Police officers who are Black Americans, hurling racial epithets at them using the N-word, and a noose was erected on the west lawn of the Capitol. This was a violent white supremacist mob who assaulted the nation's capital. It was a deadly and dangerous insurrection that was incited by Donald Trump. And I want to just hold space for the congressional staff, the custodial workers, the food service workers, the members, and all who experienced trauma, those who endured injury, and hold space for those who lost their lives. And for those custodians who demonstrated true patriotism, cleaning up a ransacked space after a violent white supremacist mob so that we could continue to honor our constitutional duties, and our clerks who work through the night as well. These events have taken undoubtedly a mental and physical toll. And we have to provide the Capitol Police and everyone who labors in Congress with the comprehensive mental health supports and resources that they deserve and desperately require. Furthermore, as members of Congress, it is our duty to investigate and to rectify the circumstances that failed them in the first place. The response by the DOJ and the DOD on January 6th was delayed, it was disorganized, and compared to previous months, it was deficient. When community organizers and people of all ages took to the streets chanting Black Lives Matter following the murder of George Floyd last May, the Trump administration used every tool at its disposal to try and stop them, including rubber bullets and chemical warfare. Former Secretary of Defense Mark Esper said, quote, "I think the sooner that you mass and dominate the battle space, the quicker this dissipates," unquote. Here in DC, to intimidate peaceful protesters calling for racial equity, the Department of Justice activated a plethora of federal law enforcement agencies, including the U.S. Park Police, FBI, Bureau of Prisons, U.S. Marshal Service, ATF, CBP, and even the TSA. Armed federal officials were wearing unmarked gear and they dominated the streets. Mr. Rosen, you were Deputy Attorney General when the racial justice protests took place during the summer of 2020. Mr. Rosen, were you aware of DOJ's efforts to mobilize a federal security response during the summer of 2020 in the streets of Washington, D.C.? Yes or no?
Congresswoman, I'm going to say what I said before, because I think it's important to start with the fact that the entire time I was at the Department of Justice, I deplored and had no patience for any forms of hatred, bigotry, discrimination. And that was never something we would tolerate. We prosecuted many instances of hate crimes and of racially and ethnically motivated violence.
Reclaiming my time. Mr. Rosen, you were the head of the lead federal agency responsible for coordinating the preparations for January 6th. For the record, how many personnel did you coordinate from the TSA for January 6th?
No, I think you're under a mistaken impression. I didn't have any authority over personnel from TSA or other agencies. Okay. We did coordinate information sharing.
Reclaiming my time. Can you, for the record, share with us what personnel from CBP, ICE, and TSA were engaged for the events on January 6th? Can you provide that?
A little bit. I think you would need to talk to the Department of Homeland Security, but it was my understanding that there were federal agents from DHS who went to the Capitol to assist with the restoration of order, along with the others from DOJ and the MPD and other police forces.
We'll follow up, but reclaiming my time for now. Mr. Rosen, do you agree, based on your observation and your expertise, that the DOJ acted differently in preparation for the January 6th attack than it did during the summer of 2020? Just a yes or no.
I think we're talking about two very different situations, and in both, the responses were tailored to the situation at the time. I would say that on January 6th in particular, because that's what I'm here for today, I feel that while it was a horrendous day, and I appreciated the justified anger that you and others have expressed, because I don't think anyone in Congress should ever have to deal with that again and shouldn't have had to that day.
Mr. Rosen,
But I
yes
do
or
think the
no?
DOJ
Was the
responded
preparation
appropriately.
different? Yes or no? Was it different for Black Lives Matter than it was on January 6th?
I think we're talking about very different situations.
Okay, reclaiming my time, reclaiming my time, reclaiming my time.
Madam
The
Chair, our time
previous-
has expired.
Let me answer. Okay,